Alright, hello Exiles. It's been a few days since I made a video. I'll explain briefly the reasons for that. Um, First and foremost, I hit maps on my Twister Amazon, and I was comfortably going through white maps, and kind of comfortably getting into yellows, and I was really starting to struggle in yellow maps. This was day 3 ish, day 4 of the league, so that would have been like Sunday night, Monday, and started to get a little discouraged. I was running into white monsters basically being the reason that I was unable to progress. Like, rare monsters, bosses really were no problem. It was honestly like random packs of white monsters that were blitzkrieging me from off screen and like slamming me to death and killing me. And so that was really frustrating. And, it prompted me to go check out what some of the other top players were doing. Sorry, what top players were doing. And I saw the what lightning spear Roa build, and I was looking at that, comparing it to what my gameplay was like, and it was just a little demoralizing. Like, to be fair, I am still proud that like the build that I came up with and did on my own without really any input from anybody else. I made it successfully through the campaign pretty easily. Even after the hotfix or whatever to the Twisters, I was still doing really well in white maps, and like I said, I was doing well against the rare and unique enemies in yellow maps. I was just unable to level up because I kept dying to white monsters. Like, honestly, I even had at some point written down some white monsters that were on my shit list, like Azak, something. Basically, it's a lot of the monsters that they just nerfed. So that's a good segue into talking about the patch. The patch just dropped like an hour ago, and yeah, great changes. I mean, there's a huge section of basically just nerfs to monsters that are too fast and a little bit unfair. And I think that that's, number one, a great change for the campaign. It's going to make, you know, leveling through the campaign on a fresh character on a more unique build much more feasible. But it's also really going to help out in mapping because those monsters are no longer going to be as crazy in maps. So, yeah, great changes in the patch. I'm loving the rare monsters always show up on the minimap. It means that I very rarely ever have to sort of backtrack or do any sort of unnecessary wandering through the map to find the rare monsters. Also, it's particularly helpful for people who are experiencing the NVIDIA graphics card crash, which is me a lot. I'd say several times a day, not every map, but it's like once or twice an hour I have this crash. And if you've never experienced it, it like deletes your minimap reveal progression in the map, so you like lose your entire minimap. And it can be extremely frustrating trying to figure out where those last rares are if you're towards the end of the map and then all of a sudden your minimap goes away. So being able to see where the rares are is really going to alleviate those frustrations. Every time that would happen, I would just sigh and just like contemplate my own existence. So yeah, that's a great change. I have nothing to say really about any of the other sort of balance changes to skills because I'm not playing those. I mean, I've got an Amazon here that's playing Lightning Spear and what is this, Stormlance. So yeah, I don't really have anything to say about the other balance changes. I am glad that they made some changes. I'm sure that that's really good for the people that are playing those classes, and it'll be good for me whenever I decide to reroll and give another build a try. But for now, I am still having quite a bit of fun on this build. I'm not going to go through it as much as I did with some other builds, like my previous build. I mean, you can look up, Fubgun or Jungroan or pretty much just a bunch of the top Amazons on the ladder if you want to know how this build works. It's Lightning Spear for clear. It's Stormlance for some single target. You can also Lightning Spear a bit for single target. Sniper's Mark for some charge generation. Um, and then you're just running a shit ton of auras. So you're running Roa, obviously, Combat Frenzy for some more charge generation, Herald of Thunder, Ghost Dance, and Wind Dancer for survivability. So the idea is that you want to have sort of hybrid life in ES, and you're going to be regaining ES whenever you get hit. So that comes from Ghost Dance. When hit, consume a Ghost Shroud to recover. Oh, I need to quality that. I qualityed my old version. Anyways, you recover energy shield equal to a percentage of your evasion, and I have quite a bit of evasion. I have 11k evasion, which is pretty nice, and 36% block. So pretty decent amount of defensive layers. This is kind of what I was missing a little bit in my old build. I was like kind of hesitant to invest big into something that I really wasn't convinced was that good. So yeah, switching over to this build was pretty great. My gear is pretty solid. My spear here has big accuracy roll. That's obviously taking advantage of the penetrate ascendancy. So you gain flat fizz equal to a percentage of the accuracy rating on your weapon. So I've got a ton of accuracy, I've got a weapon elemental damage roll there, and some crit bonus. The mana perk enemy killed is also very high value. You run like a hybrid-ish chest with some spirit. You run an ES helmet. The reason you run an ES helmet is because of this node, Subterfuge Mask. You get evasion per ES on your helmet. So honestly, it's kind of like PoE1, sort of like trickster kinds of defensive layers. Other good pieces of gear that I've got, I mean, to be honest, none of this stuff is really that outstanding. My rare items are like passable, and the uniques are uniques. So a lot of this stuff can be significantly upgraded. That's what I'm going to be doing here, probably this evening, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see. I might just be grinding it out for the rest of the day today, but I'm farming pretty hard. Nothing crazy. I've got a couple of items that are for sale here that hopefully will sell. As you can see, a few things have been selling. Like I got gaps in the tabs. Things have been selling a little bit, so that's been good. And yeah, I mean, overall, I'm having a good time. But the reason I didn't make a video there for a couple days is because I really didn't have anything to make a video about. Like, what am I going to make a video about? Hey, I copied somebody else's build, and that's what I'm doing. Okay. Anyways, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update. In the near future, I do plan on doing some endgame guide video things. I'm getting relatively close to having all of my Atlas skill points. After I get these, I'm going to start working on some of the pinnacle content, at least getting Tier 0 and Tier 1 down, hopefully. I've actually spec'd out of these nodes because while I'm trying to level up, it's like there's a couple of bosses that I've died to, and it's just not worth the pain and suffering. So I took these out so that I don't have the map boss difficulty nodes. I'll put these back in eventually, but anyways. Yeah, so I'll be doing a couple of guides. I'm really interested to start working on some actual Atlas strategies. We're going to see if those will come to fruition or not, but I'm interested to give them a try. I just kind of want to get my Atlas passives all the way. I want to have as many Atlas passives as possible so I can, utilize the Atlas strategy that I'm going to be going for. If I haven't told, I think I talked about this in a previous video, but the strategy that I'm going to be trying to do is basically just juicing up pack size and running pack size maps in cleansed areas, and just really trying to juice up the pack size of those cleansed monsters, because those can only drop like currency and maps, and I just want to give that a try. The only other content that I'm going to attempt to run while I'm doing that is either going to be Breach or Delirium. They just sort of buffed Delirium, so I might give that a try. And then Breach, they nerfed it a lot, but it is still a lot of extra monsters, and so, maybe Breach and Delirium. Maybe that's what I'll try, for every tower, maybe I'll run, Irradiation, Breach, and Delirium. That might be what I go for. So we'll have to see how that works, but that's currently where I'm at. So hope you guys are enjoying the game. Hopefully you didn't struggle too much with all honestly shit show of a launch that PoE2 has had. If you haven't watched the 2-hour interview with Ziz, I would recommend that you do that. That sort of restored some confidence in me that they are going to try to head into a better direction. If not for 0.2, then for 0.3, hopefully. And yeah, I'm just still having a good time playing the game. So definitely know we're finished on this build, and there's some other builds that I want to try. So I can see myself playing PoE2 for a while, as long as they continue to make improvements and that sort of thing. So anyways, that's where I'm going to leave it. Hope you guys are having a good time, and hit a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.